What is going on? I am Dope, and this is the Dope Show Live. And tonight we've got the man. That's all I can say about it. If I had a Mount Rushmore, he would be on there for sure. Great guy, great collector. Let me bring out the man, see what he's up to. There he is, reading some weird world tales.
Yeah, hey, what's up, Dope? Roger gave me this a long time. I'm old Metarog. It's a jewel insert. I have it slab, but I was just reading it.
Well, I was going to say you and Metarog is the only two people I know that I'd have on my Mount Rushmore. I mean, Metarog's been collecting for what, 51 years? I think he told me.
He's a little older than me, so he's been collecting a little longer. Yep.
And I know you won't say it, so I'm going to say it for you. You got the best collection on YouTube.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. I could give you some names of some people I think would be possibly better, but it's okay. I appreciate that.
I probably know those people, but I'm going to say yours is better anyway.
Well, I appreciate that. And
if I was picking, I'd say you. I like your stuff, and everybody else has got. I think other people comes to mind, like we was talking about the golden age guys, and Mike. I like Mike's collection, but he don't have any pre-code horror.
That's right. Mike
and I love DS, but DS he don't keep books long.
He doesn't keep books long. I actually have a good amount of his books that he used to have. He'll sell. He's a good guy to know, because when he gets tired of one, he'll often sell it. So yes.
Yeah. So there's other great collections, but yours is always the best.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's always a work in progress. I probably have gotten rid of some books that would actually bring me lower in your esteem if you knew what I'd actually traded out recently. But I always look at those as temporary. I'll try to get them back at some point. But
let's see.
As you can see, I don't have anything on my wall. I'm I took a lot of stuff off the wall, and I'm deciding what to put on. And I don't like books to get exposed to light any longer than I have to. So
You don't want to do like Nicolas Cage or somebody just run through there and grab the Superman one and take off.
If I had his kind of money, I might just leave an Action one around, and I'd be like, I'll get it again at some point.
Yeah, I've heard there's a documentary on it. I've been looking for it. Where the stealing of that book.
Yeah,
but I heard somebody tell me it was on a yacht, and then I've heard it was stolen out of his house.
There's I've heard various different stories on that too. So, but he has
noticed he was gone.
Yeah, he might not. Yeah, he had a whole Nick Cage from the collection of Nick Cage. So he didn't have a pedigree, but he had he was a big time collector, and had a lot of great books. So you'll still see a book. I don't have any, but you'll still see a book that says from the collection of Nick Cage. As a matter of fact, I was looking up Marvel Comics 1 October editions, and the only one I could find on the internet was from the collection of Nick Cage. So he had that at some point.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's hard to feel bad for him though, because he could buy them all again if he wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, if Nick Cage wanted to save money, he shouldn't get married, because that's where he always loses his money. He's lost a lot more money through many marriages where he has to cut his money in half or whatever to when he gets a divorce than he's ever lost when someone's stealing the Action one.
Now, I know he loves Superman and stuff, but I also knew he loved Elvis, and he had the ultimate collection when he married Elvis's daughter, right?
Oh, wow.
What better could you get than having that?
Yeah. I did not even know that he married Priscilla Presley. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the one that married Michael Jackson too. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, I'm sure he was just like ravaging through all the junk. This was your dad's. This was your dad's. So, no telling what he had then,
Yeah. Can you imagine? It would be great to just wander around and check his stuff out. That would be,
It'd be like Biggie marrying Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Or his wife, right? No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Was there some shenanigans there? I can't remember.
Yeah, Linda Hogan. She likes some young guys. So let's see here. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Jacob first in the chat. What's up, Jacob? Speaking of Biggie, there is Biggie.
Very good.
We got Digger Jim up digging up stuff. What's up, Digger Jim? Fast George. What's going on, Fast George? Hippie's Collectibles. I don't know if you know him, but he's got some cool stuff. Oh, Hippie's Collectibles.
I'll have to check it out.
Here's my guy that was on the show last week, Bizarre Brain Comics. What is up, Bizarre Brain? Mad Spivey from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And my boy KB. He's always in the chat. Appreciate you, KB.
Judging by his thumbnail, he might like your type of comic.
He does, and there's Bleecker Street coming in. Your wrestling compadre. What is up, Bleecker? You know it's gonna be a good show today, Bleecker. So, all right. So everybody calls you Mancave, but Immortal Biggie Shack, you know what he calls you? Calls you Doc, right?
That's right.
All right. Now I look a lot like Michael J. Fox. So if we were to get in the time machine and you could go back in time and get 5 comics, they can't be the same book. What 5 comics would you bring back to 2023?
Well, how far back in time we're allowed to go?
We got a time machine.
Oh shit! Can you stop in multiple times, or you just have one?
Yeah, we got a time machine. Whatever you want. Whatever 5 books.
Oh man, I mean that to me, I would pick the standards. Honestly, I don't think anybody who doesn't answer this is just being stupid, because they could always get these books and then sell them and get whatever book.
What if you couldn't sell them just for your private collection?
I would definitely get Tech 27 and Action 1. Those are the big dogs, and I'd get Marvel Comics 1. So those are 3. I mean, those are just obvious, massive choices. After that, then it gets a little. Cap 1, probably get me a Cap 1. Oh, and the I don't want to waste too much time, but off the top of my head, probably a Tech 1. Tech 1. Such a hard book to get. Tech 1. And of course, the assumption being we'd have sort of a 9.6 or higher type of grade. So yeah, that would be those 4 in a 9.8-ish would be just crazy dreams. They actually do have a Cap 1 that's a 9.8, if you can believe it.
White pages and everything.
Yeah. And you can only imagine the family who owns it said they'll give it up for 30 million is what I heard rumor. There's an individual who bought all the timely Mile High books in the 1970s. He was a famous dealer from California, and he passed away a few years ago. And a lot of those timelies have come back in the market, but that Cap 1 is still out there, is what I've been told.
Mine's a little different. Mine's different. I would go the Action 1.
Yeah.
And I would not get the Tech 27. I'd rather have Batman 1.
Okay.
I'm a Joker guy. So
yeah,
that's my biggest book I'd ever want would be a Joker #1.
That is a great choice. You can't. As a matter of fact, if I could redo it, I'd probably get Batman 1 instead of Tech 31. Now that you mentioned it.
Well, I mean, Joker's about bigger than Batman these days. You know it.
And if you've actually have you read that first Joker story?
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. And Joker kicks the shit out of Batman, dumps him over the bridge.
Off a bridge.
Batman was out. Joker was no joke. When they said make Joker evil again, like they talk about Neil Adams making him more like, because as we all know, Joker got sort of campy and ridiculous.
251, he came back.
Yeah. When Neil Adams made him evil again, he wasn't even close to his evil, even in Neil Adams, and he was in Golden Age. The Golden Age Joker, nothing matched that until you got to Frank Miller, probably. Frank Miller made Joker a real, the way the Golden Age Joker was ruthless, but Batman was ruthless. He was like the Punisher, more like than Batman back in the day. He killed.
Yeah, I like the Batman that carried guns. You know,
he didn't even shoot him with guns half the time. He more than half the time. Most of the people he killed by throwing them out the window or off a girder or something. And if you go through Tech 27 all the way, even to Tech 38, when Robin first comes, the body counts in the 30s at least.
Love that. I love the bat ears. I love the bat wings.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And the Catwoman story is pretty funny too, because he's really smitten with her, and Robin's like, "What the hell's the matter with you? We got to go get her." And he's just sort of like, "Ooh, she was so nice." She wasn't in costume, but he was all smitten.
2 other books I would pick. I'd pick Mask 1 and 2. Mask
1 and 2. Those are great LB Cole covers, and I think they're great books, but you're not gonna like me for this, but I feel LB Cole is one of the most overrated guys in Golden Age. I don't know.
So long. See you later.
You're not the first person to say fuck me for that.
He's one of my favorite.
I know. And when you look closely, I used to really not like Mask, and then you look closely, you see the little fairies like burning in fire and stuff. It's a pretty cool cover, but That is, and that would be a tough book, even if you sold your Action One and had funny money. It's hard to get that in high grade. So I
All
can
black
appreciate
covers
that.
and
Yeah, all black cover, a 9.8. I don't think at 9.8. I'm highly doubtful that there's anything much more than a 9.0 in the highest grade of that. But you might be able to tell me otherwise.
Him and Maurice Whitman. That's my two favorite artists. So
yeah,
who you like?
My favorite artists. I mean, for what he did for comics, I love Kirby, but as a pure artist, I can't say he's the best artist. My favorite best artists are pretty typical too, are probably Frank Frazetta, Bernie Wrightson, Wally Wood. Those three are top notch. And some of the guys who did those early Fox Fiction guys, Feldstein and Lou Fine, their art was on a different level.
I'm a big Bernie guy too.
Yeah, Bernie Wrightson, other artists considered him like an artist. They were Bleecker. You'll get this one if you watch Bleeker's To Slab or Not to Slab. He's talking about Voltron 1. So I make an appearance on his show. So yeah,
check that out. What you said about LB Cole, I'm going to take my hot take. I'm going to tell you who I don't like that most people like. Now his name just went blank out of my head.
What do you do?
Schomburg. I don't like
Schomburg is really amazing, but I wouldn't put him as one of the top as much. And I'm a huge I'm going to show Schomburg tonight. So I love Schomburg. And there's two, you got to divide him into his war stuff and his airbrush stuff. And I'm not that big a fan of his airbrush stuff. People love Startling 49, the first Bender cover, and a lot of that. I don't mind it, but I like his war stuff better. His war stuff had amazing detail, but as pure as art and technicality of art, I agree that the other guys we mentioned are probably better.
The thing I don't like about Schomburg is I think it's detailed and it looks nice, but it's like his covers are so busy, and then it's like it don't really measure up. Like, I don't know, you could have Submariner in the background, and he's bigger than a ship that's up here or something. I mean, it's just like,
yeah, it's almost metaphorical as covers. Like you have Submariner crushing a bridge as a giant, and that's not really the representation that's depicted in the comic.
I guess the depth is what I'm saying. His depth don't line up.
Yeah, I think he did it on purpose somewhat though. He made them larger than life on the cover, but I don't know if there's been anybody to get his reasoning on that. But I love his covers. I love his detail, but he'd label everything. Part of the things that people like about him also make him not really the greatest artist. His guns look more like toy guns sometimes than real guns, and interesting color choices.
Yeah, and say that sometimes they're green or blue.
And people like that. But you can also look at it as like, it's not really. Jambo likes those airbrush covers. I'm losing some more friends here. Forget LB Cole, forget Schomburg. Dope and Jambo.
Who brought this guy on the damn show?
Buddy, I'm really going for an LB Cole book tonight on Heritage, a super rare LB Cole that I really want. So it's funny. I should diss LB Cole. I'm jinxing myself to get this book.
It's not a mask, right?
Not a mask. It's a
Is
war
it
cover.
Spider? Oh, okay.
I'll give you a hint. It's a Hitler cover. It's LB Cole's only Hitler cover.
How I'd have never guessed you'd want a Hitler cover.
It's something I'm trying to complete.
Yeah.
Neil Adams is a great artist too. Yeah, I didn't include some of the. I love so many artists, but he wanted top 3, and I had to go with those 3 as just. Yeah. Neil Adams my criticism of Neil Adams is overly dramatic. Everybody's like, oh, it's not subtle. It was just totally like very, very dramatic. And I feel like a really good artist doesn't have to be quite that dramatic, but it's comic books, man.
There's 2 or 3 Hitler covers that are way above the rest, I think. They're
Which
just so
ones?
detailed. I don't know. I have to see them.
I mean, do you know like what comic they were or what they look like? I might have.
Usually his face is real big up top and it's really detailed. A lot of them is just like a little cartoony Hitler with a little mustache and he's getting squished. But there's 2 or 3 of them that are really detailed, like his face. And there's another book that DS showed one time. I'm trying to figure out what's called Truth Bomb. You ever heard of that?
Truth. Yeah. The challenge. You're talking about challenge. It's where he's getting hit. That's Challenger 3.
I want to
where
look
the
that
guy's
up.
like it's not Hitler, but it's
Yeah.
a communist guy getting hit
Yeah.
with a bottle, a little guy throwing it, and it says
Real
truth
detailed.
bomb. That's a very rare. That's a super rare. Super rare. Was this one of the ones we
Yeah.
talked
That's
about?
one of my favorite. He looks like
This
it looks horror. Yeah.
this is people who love pre-code horror love this book because look at the detail. You got Hitler
Love
coming
it.
out of a genie bottle,
Yeah.
looking like a pre-code horror sort of. Yeah, headline 8. This is who did the cover? This is one of the rare blue labels that don't have the freaking artist. So I don't know off the top of my head who did this cover, but it is. Let me see if I can see a name anywhere. It is definitely, this is considered a top
That's
5 by
probably
most
my
people.
favorite. Yeah.
Hitler covers, and it appeals to pre-code horror geeks and war comic people, and it is definitely one of the harder ones to find.
2 books I love that are not pre-code horror that I'd love to have in my collection is that book. And what number is that Captain America with a red skull on it? The first horror?
Oh, 74. That's the Weird Tales of Captain America. When that was like the third last timely cover, and you have Red Skull. That I'm so annoyed because I had an opportunity to buy that comic when it was way cheaper and multiple times, and I thought, oh, that's gonna be available. I'm gonna go for older stuff. And now that book has probably gone up 10 times in price since 2019. It's
beautiful.
Yeah, and again, pre-code horror aficionados love that book over and also Red Skull people love that book. I actually have every Red Skull Golden Age appearance except for that one.
You think in the woke era here why don't they use Red Skull more?
I mean, I don't think Red Skull's been used a lot. I mean, he did have a big run in the Silver Age where he was in a lot of Captain America books, but after that, I don't know that they used him a lot, really, did they? I mean, well, I was digging through my brother's comics at Chicago. I was at C2E2, and I found this one, and I couldn't even remember this Amazing Spider-Man with a red skull on the front. And I forgot about this Todd McFarlane cover, so I rescued it from my brother and his kids.
I love Red Skull. I don't think they
there's if you get into the rabbit hole Red Skull, there's a ton of great books.
And the thing that made Captain America, he was big during World War II, World War I, right?
Yeah.
He's like hope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not bring him back now? I'd like to see like him against in the Middle East against like ISIS. I'd like to see him destroy some Taliban. I'd like to see him.
Yeah, I think since the 1990s, we haven't really used the Middle East as an enemy so much. It's not like True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, movies like that, where probably now maybe it's not politically correct that the American people aren't quite as interested. They'll do some real life stuff periodically.
I like to see him smack around Putin. What about that?
Yeah, why not? Let's go back to the old Soviet type of stuff. Yeah.
I mean, it'd sell. I think I'd buy Captain America if it came out like that.
Well, when they do a survey of people's patriotism, it is at a low right now in the country. In 1998, 70% of people thought it was good to be a patriot. Now it's something like 38% of people. So there's definitely a very dismal sort of identity in this country, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'll admit it. I quit reading Punisher when they changed the skull.
Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't.
I haven't read one since. I mean, it's just people butthurt over a skull. So
yeah, as I was telling you earlier, there's one word I don't use, the N word, and after that, I'm allowed to use whatever word I want, and if it hurts you, I don't care. It's annoying. I try to be respectful to people, so I'm not going to just go around throwing out words to piss people off. But I hear people have been getting hurt about various things being said, and it's just grow up, man. Sticks and stones may break my sticks and stones may break my bones, but words won't ever hurt me. Whatever happened to that? You know what I mean? Just toughen up.
We just had a safety meeting and everything at my work, and you're not allowed to say boy or girl no more.
Yeah, that kind of stuff drives me nuts out, man.
You being a doctor, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah. Oh my God, don't get me started. Yeah, it is, and I have to be careful because I went and visit my brother, and one of his kids is very much into that. So, and I'm not here to pick a fight with him. So I just, I'm not here to challenge. I also feel like if you just want to argue with everybody, you're never going to convince anybody that way. You just sit there and argue.
You had to say, congratulations, you had a baby.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but don't tell me what to say either. But it's tough. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of Interesting times. We have the first Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. Yep.
Yep. Well, let's see some books, man. What you got for us?
All right. Well, I was just at C2E2, so I'll just show some of the stuff I picked up there. So I went to C2E2. My brother, I tried to get to see my brother in November, and then my wife had COVID, so we had to cancel. We rescheduled for about 6 weeks later. For some reason, I didn't get COVID when my wife got it. But then 6 weeks later, we scheduled to go see my brother. And then I went to my uncle's 80th birthday, and we all got COVID there except for my wife. So I got COVID, so we couldn't go. So my brother said, "Why don't you come when C2E2 is going on?" So I was like, "That's a great idea." So, and he said, "I'll take care of everything." So I get there Friday, and Saturday morning we get up. I went and played some pickup ball with the old man team that he has. So we played some basketball, and then he tells me, "It's sold out. Sorry, I didn't get tickets." I'm like, "You motherfucker. You were in charge of one thing, getting tickets to C2E2." And so I had to call in some favors and friends. So I called up Jimmy, the geek aficionado. I was like, "Dude, do you have any tickets?" He came through like a champ. Jimmy the geek so he's in Chicago, and I was planning on meeting him anyway. So he managed to rile up 3 tickets for me. So I got for my 2 sons and me. And then I know some guys there. So I went into, I won't say who, but 2 security guards who were guarding some valuable comics lent me their pass, and I brought it back out and handed it to my brother and one of his sons. So they came in, and so I managed to use my connections to get my ass in there for the good heart of the community there.
Well, and people are like you, they know you're going to spend money.
Yeah. Well, one of the dealers that I bought from, I went and visited, and so I was like, I'm going to buy some stuff from this guy, and I'm not going to haggle, because when I go to cons, I'm usually pretty easygoing price, but I tend to try to at least cut it down a bit. But I was like, this guy did me a solid. I'm just going to buy some books. One of them was a good old all-star Western, pretty, nice mid-grade copy.
Jonah Hex.
Yeah, first Jonah Hex. I have the second one, which is actually a better cover, but I like this one, so I got that.
I'd like to see a Jonah Hex Netflix movie.
Yeah, he had a pretty nice Defenders cover, pretty tight copy that, wasn't too bad a price. And I was like, yeah, I'll get that. This is a low grade copy. This is pretty cheap. This is a famous, ham-handed effort to be race conscious. And it's Lois Lane becomes a black woman for a day. And it's a pretty interesting comic for that reason. And I got 2 through 11 of Forever People, so I decided I'd get number 1 of Forever People as well. So I bought a few books from the guy as a way of getting some thanks for his pulling my brother's butt out of the fire. But and when I bought all these books, I got he gave us a free slab because they said the first person to spend an X amount of money gets a free slab.
There you go.
I'll have to give that away somewhere. It's a nice little, there's Hialeah, my boy.
Hialeah, I have to admit, I saw a post today where Hialeah saw his daughter first time in 3 months, and they're all hugging at some Comic-Con in Orlando, and might have shed a tear. So there's Ben hanging out, City of Compton. He wants that Jonah Hex, just send him that. And there's Biggie again.
Yes, I know. But don't talk about dope that way, Biggie. No.
Yeah, what is he doing? I'm going to have to get some moderators.
Block his ass.
I don't even know how to do that. I'm going to get some moderators on.
Yeah, I felt like all the. I will say I felt like all the cool kids went to MegaCon. Everybody was at MegaCon, and me and Geek and like a few other guys were at the C2E2 this year, and but it was good.
So how was it? I mean, was it a lot of pops and
it had a lot of great stuff.
Cosplay.
I mean, yeah, there were some great books there, and it was fun. I'm used to Baltimore Con. Baltimore Con is like a comic collector's con, not a lot of cosplay. Chicago was definitely a lot more. What are you doing, boy? Oh, he's giving me my son is warning me about an auction coming up. So we'll keep talking. I got to check something out, but yeah. So it has a lot more cosplay than I was used to, but it was cool, man. I saw like 10 stormtroopers and you know, it was seriously ridiculous.
I like the ones that's got a lot of comic books. The last one I went to here in Nashville sucked so bad. It was like maybe 5 comic vendors, and the rest was all cosplay, pops. They had a Buff Bagwell and the Mystery Machine was the 2 best things there. So, wasn't nothing going on. And I need to go to a big one. I've never been to a real big one.
So I'm actually right now, my Taffy 2 is being bid on. So I'm just checking it out, see what the damage has been done, because I'm not going to lose this easily. They're going to have to fight me for this one, whoever wants it.
And you're one of the only ones I can ask this, because you do a lot of stuff I do.
Yeah, I got it. So I just won my LB Cole cover. So I just, so I had to like, I got distracted there. It was Taffy 2, beautiful book.
Let me ask you advice on this.
11 on the census.
Let me ask you advice on this, because you're one of the only people that really do what I do, and you can answer this well. Sure. You know, the thing about pre-code horror and the thing about, you know, golden age, even if you have the money, a lot of times you can't buy the book. You know, It ain't like a Spider-Man 1 where you just, if you got the money, you can have it. It's hard sometimes to even come up with a price.
I picked this up from C2E2.
That's beautiful.
How often do you see an Etgren cover?
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Are you familiar with Etgren?
I've seen that book before, but yeah, I'm not too familiar with it.
Though. He was a homeless guy who did art, and they noticed his art, and he did 3 covers for Weird Horrors. This is one of the 3. Yeah, I don't see this too often. And I was like, it was a pretty reasonable price, and I was like, shoot, I'm just grabbing Etgren. Yeah,
it looks like some chalk.
Yeah, I'm sorry, so I interrupted. So yep.
So the hard part to me is, like, a lot of times I'll find a book and one ain't sold in 6 years. It's hard to figure out how much you got to figure out what it's worth to you. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You might find 135, but you're trying to buy 6.0 or something. You're like, well, I don't know how much it's worth. So you basically just winging it.
You're 100% correct. There are some golden age books that are sold a lot. So we were talking about Batman 1 being your Batman 1 is a common golden age book. There's a ton of them out there. It's just very expensive, but you get an idea of what it's worth based on previous sales compared to other golden age books. If you're looking for an esoteric pre-code horror, you have to decide if it's almost an opportunity issue. You have the opportunity, you got to buy it if it's within your budget, not worry about what you think it's worth.
Yeah, you might not see that for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. It's with the internet, you have a lot more of an idea of what it should go for than ever before. But God only know, before it's pretty esoteric. And like that Challenger comic you mentioned, Challenger 3, where the guy's throwing the truth bomb and it's hitting him in the head. That book it was 4 years between that book even showing up in one auction. And there was like 3 people known to have one at that point. It was that rare. So what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you value that? Yeah.
And kind of what you pay for is the new set limit. You know what I mean? Like, well, the last one sold for this.
The Taffy 2 I just got it's never around. I was like, I have this opportunity to buy it. It's a Hitler cover. It's Jonah, can you pull up the cover? I'll show them. It's a cool LB Cole cover, 1945. There's 11 on the census. 11. I just now got the lowest grade one that exists, and I'm happy to have it.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's not mine yet, but that's Hitler driving a tank. He's an insect. Taffy 2. You do not see this book. I've been looking for Hitler.
Whoop. Hold on. Whoop. Hold on.
You kick me off when I make fun of LB Cole. Now I'm trying to make up for it, and you kick me off again.
There you go.
Yeah. This book does not appear. I'm sorry. You will not find this book. I've been looking. I'm trying to complete 101 Hitler covers, and this is one of the most difficult ones to find from 1945. 11 on the census.
What are you up to now?
Now that I have about 20 to go. 20 to go, approximately.
Yeah. Another cool cover that we'll both appreciate is another hard book to get is that Fox cover with the bandages around the soldier's head. Yeah,
that a 3.5 just went for 1,700 on tonight's auction. That's a Jack Kirby cover. Foxhole 1. All the Foxhole 1 through 6 are very hard to get. And that's one of the few cases where even the postcode ones go for a lot because there just aren't a lot of those. And they're really, except for the last one, I think they're all great covers. I have a raw of number 3. Yep.
And it might have been DS, but somebody had one of the soldier with the bandages around his head, and then they had the actual like magazine where
yeah, it's a common. You can get them both together. You can, if you look it up on the internet, it'll show that because it's based on a guy who had those bandages around his cover, and some photographer took his picture. It was in Life magazine, I think. And Jack Kirby probably used that as his template for drawing, for doing the art. He did, I think. And yes, exactly right. And it's where, that's why, when you say my favorite artist, like Jack Kirby was huge in the Golden Age. He was huge in the Atom Age. He did the first romance covers. Actually, he had some crazy stuff there. And he was huge in the DC Silver Age, where he was Challengers of the Unknown and some of those things prior to Marvel. And then he's obviously is Marvel. And you got to tip your hat to Jack Kirby, man. There's no, even if his art isn't, the volume that guy put out is just immense. I mean, he did like 9 comics covers and interiors that were published every month. I mean, he did those, all of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I've met some high-end collectors that just take it to another level they want to collect the reference points to whatever the comic book is. Like we just talked about, they want that magazine to go with that comic book.
Yeah.
And if you think about the back days, there wasn't no internet. There wasn't nothing to really get references from. You had to collect Time Life magazine. I think a lot of them ships you see like in the background, like the low Superman numbers, you could probably find like on the cover of a Time Life or Newsweek.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like,
what do you think would be, if you're a comic artist, what's easier, doing it all from your head or having some references that you can get some cool ideas from? So it just made sense.
Wasn't that the deal with the Mile High comics? They said that guy kept all kinds of references and he had all kinds of.
Well, Edgar Church was an artist, and some of his stuff was even on auction at some point fairly a little bit ago. And he really got these books so he could have ideas, I think is what is. I don't think he ever was really successful as an artist, but man, his collection has immortalized him to comic nerds for sure.
Yeah, because back then, even like, business cards were huge. Yeah. And if you did gutters and roofs, he'd have to find something to look at a gutter or roof to put on the business card, So you needed some kind of reference point. So that's pretty neat. You was talking about romance and stuff, and another name popped in my head. What do you think about Matt Baker?
I think he does some great good girl art. I'm sort of in the camp of overrated, sort of like LB Cole.
I was waiting until you said LB Cole line.
He has some great books, but he didn't really raise the level for like superhero comics or anything like that. Any things that I really care about. But he was a black man. A black gay man making it in the comic industry. That alone puts him as a very interesting, and his good girl art is spectacular. And you were talking about referencing stuff. He referenced females, like pictures of people that he probably used to template his art, like the Cinderella 22, I think is one of his big ones. But he did it so well. I mean, no one does a better visual of a female probably than Matt Baker. So I would admit that.
I can usually tell his artwork by his hair. The hair on the female, it's just got a certain look to it.
Yes. Yeah. No, he was amazing, but he's not going to be in my top. He a little too short-lived, but I mean, I guess Bernie Wrightson was fairly short-lived too, so I couldn't use that criteria. But Bernie Wrightson did stuff I like, which is horror. I'm not a romance comic guy. I like a good girl art. I have one here that I was going to show. I have 2 sort of good girly. All right, let me show my good girl since I love this one right here. This is one of my favorite. Brenda Starr. This is Jack Kamen. So Jack Kamen's also an amazing good girl artist, contemporary of Matt Baker. And this is a pretty faded copy. It's restored. It's spine split sealed, so it's not heavily restored by any means. And it's when you see this, when the colors really pop, it's amazing. But I just love it that she's doing an SOS tapping on a radiator to get out. It's obviously one of the iconic good girl books. Dave Stevens this isn't actually Dave Stevens, so I shouldn't actually reference him, but he did some Alien Worlds. Love this for.
He did the bubble head and first one, the bubble head, and he did the one with the thong, the other thong.
this one has some good assets to it. But had that one as a teenager, so I appreciated it. My mom actually sent me that book. God bless her. Earthman and Venus, like me some good.
That's
good
awesome.
Sci-fi, good girl stuff. So I'm not I'm not, but it's like Cinderella Love. I would probably never get that, but maybe Phantom Lady 17 or 14 if I saw a reasonable price, because it is a superhero and I'm more into superhero stuff.
Yeah, that Phantom Lady with Matt Baker. What was
Yep.
that, 14 or 17? That one went for a huge
17
amount of money.
The 17 is the most expensive one. 14 is the first one where she's at the ship's wheel. 17's the one that's the most iconic for
the headlight cover.
Yeah. Yep. And I actually went for that once or twice in auction, but it still went for more than I was willing to go for. And we were talking about Frazetta, so here's one of my this is my only. I mean, this is a great run. If you want to get the run of the Frazetta covers for Famous Funnies, I think it's 209 to 215. I can't remember.
Yeah, they're very expensive. I'll see that one every once in a while. The Starship.
Yeah,
the Frazetta with the Starship. It's very expensive. That's a cool.
Yeah, this is cool. That guy coming out of there, he's holding something. Just the shit's about to go down, and probably not good for those two guys. It's this is just that is high. That's high comic art to me, man.
You don't think that guy in the green basket, the green?
You never know, man. Maybe that dude's super powered. Oh, here's my Dave Stevens cover I wanted to show.
Yeah, the bubblehead. Yeah, that's a very famous cover.
Yeah, this great stuff. Dave Stevens was. But Dave Stevens, if I throw shade on Matt Baker for that, I got to throw shade on Dave Stevens. He's more known for some good girl art, but what else did he do? Maybe he did other stuff, but he was sort of a one-trick pony to me.
His sci-fi was cool though.
Yeah. And maybe he wasn't a one-trick pony. Maybe it's only the good girl that I remember, so it's possible that I'm being disrespectful. What else do we got here? Here's one of my favorite covers from the Golden Age, and my mother's favorite character. So actually, this is like the only goofy, cartoony person I cover. And anybody who knows me knows I collect this person. But little Lulu, little political. Yeah, she was trying to run up on Tubby in the Tunnel of Love, and he didn't appreciate it. So,
well, them style books, Archie, I think's really went up over the years, and I think the Disney books are going up.
I don't know if that was little Lulu with their clothing. You can clip off the clothing and put it on her, but it's little Lulu was a sassy gal. If you read her stuff, it's pretty funny actually. She didn't mess around, man. You can get into some. If you mess with her, you were asking for it.
I got one friend that collects Disney stuff, and he's collecting the Mickey Mouse covers where he's got a gun.
Yeah. Okay.
I
don't have any Disney. There are a few World War II propaganda Disney covers that I'd like to get at some point.
Stuff they don't want you to see no more.
Basically. Yeah. And comic collection. Well, not even Disney, not all Disney too. Like some other, like the first Woody Woodpecker is a tough one, and Comic Collector Geek just got it, and it has a very, not politically correct representation of a African American kid, so it's certainly it's not it wouldn't hold it would rile some feathers maybe, but it is an important book for that. But it's still a war book.
There's one old book where it's got Mickey Mouse in the cover and he's got a rifle, and then they remade it years later and they put like the little cork in the end of it with the little string.
Yeah. Here's another good girl one that I bought years ago. I just thought it was too funny.
Yeah, that one is good.
This is well known, and just what must I do to get those is the cover. So yeah, good old Atlas book. This is a pretty, and I don't have a ton of good girl stuff, but what I try to get the cool ones that I like. Let's see here. What else can we show?
What's up, Jackson Roy Kirk?
Here's a good girl cover. Lady in the Mirror. I like this. This is an homage to one of my favorite Picasso paintings that's at Museum of Modern Art in Manhattan, if you ever go there. But Lady in the Mirror, I think is the name of but this is, of course, the Mad Magazine version. So you got that goofy guy. That's not in the original. But it's a pretty good depiction of the original Picasso painting. So I always thought that was pretty cool. I have a few Mad books, mostly raw. This is my only slabbed Mad
That was the
book.
last EC label, wasn't it?
It may have been.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think
Then they reinvented themselves, and Mad Magazine survived a long time after.
That was the only thing that really made it out of the post-code days.
Yeah. Now there is a guy I didn't mention. I love this artist, but I wouldn't put him as a top tier artist. But importance for me is definitely big. Is Joe Kubert. The first comic I ever bought in my life, I actually remember that, and that was Tour #1 from 1975, and that's a Joe Kubert cover. And that original cover actually was an auction recently, and it went for about $28,000.
When I hear Kubert, I think war automatically.
What's that?
When I hear Kubert, I automatically think war covers.
Yeah, Kubert has a ton of war covers like Enemy Ace and all that stuff. But
Weird Warlords.
Yep, and his first. I think the first work he ever did work on was Catman #4 or something.
There's a lot of awesome covers. There's a Hitler cover in there that's amazing too. That's detailed.
#3 is there's a few. Catman number 3 and 20 are the most famous ones, and then there's like 2 others. There's
a really detailed one I like on that too.
Yeah, the one where he's getting strangled.
I just remember his face, and yeah.
I have that one. I don't have it around, but that's a famous book.
Catman's behind him, strangling from behind.
Yeah. So because I like Kubert and dinosaurs was the reason I bought the comic, because I saw a dinosaur. It wasn't dinosaur prominently in it, but I noticed there was a dinosaur. So, and it was my mom's best friend who brought us to this drugstore and said, "You guys can get a comic. I'll buy it." So that was my first comic. And after that, I was like, "Dude, I need these things. What are these?" And I was probably about 6. But this is Tour #4. And so he did tour before that in the Golden Age. And this is 1954. So Tour #4. And this is 8.0. This is actually the highest graded of this book. It's the highest graded one. Probably because not many people bothered to grade it.
Do you still have your first comic?
No, that went to the dustbin of time. And so, because I was 6 years old, so none of the comics I bought in the first few years of my life didn't last much beyond that point, because I would take my comics and my mom would be like, "We're going to the river to hang out at New Mexico's version of the beach at the Rio Grande River." It was Coronado Monument. So we'd go out there and I'd bring all my comics and put them out on the ground and like sort them. I was already sort of a collector. I'd sort them all, but I'd sort them on the ground and next to the Rio Grande. So yeah, they got beat up. I mean, I got to, they got well loved, but they did not survive that. No, there's very few comics that have survived. Yeah. This is love the EC sci-fi stuff. Weird.
I love any EC anything.
I love that big planet in the background. Like it screams 1950s sci-fi thriller type stuff, which I love too. All that good stuff.
Yeah, I love the crime. I love the horror. I like the sci-fi.
That's who's Al Feldstein cover that one. So Feldstein did. Here's a Feldstein cover as well. So dinosaurs, as I said, got to get the various dinosaur books.
Yeah, I really got into the Star Spangled books. It always had the dinosaurs fighting.
Yes, that was a rabbit hole I've never gone down, but I know what's his name? Oh my God. He's in Florida. He collects all those. He puts them on Instagram. Yeah, blanking on his name. I apologize. Going back to Frazetta. This was supposed to be I believe on the Famous Funnies, but they felt it was too violent, but then they reused it for this because they felt it was too good a cover to waste.
Yeah, that's
so awesome. It's the only non-Famous Funnies cover, and obviously just great Frazetta detail. And I always felt like who's in the right here? Is it the cave dudes? They look like they're just protecting their
they're at home in their cave. Beat the shit out of that guy.
This dude just coming and pillaging, man.
Laser gun don't help there.
Yeah. Here's a pretty rare book. EC's somewhat common actually, but this one is their annual. So Weird Science Fantasy annual. The annuals are hard to find for whatever reason. They were not as, and it's a thick book, and they actually had multiple different stories. They didn't. Every annual didn't have the same bunch of reprints in it. So.
And as well as I do, back in them days, they had a ton of dialogue in them already compared to modern comics.
Yes.
So you know how much would be in that thing being a square bound
book. Oh man. I was actually at the con. I was talking about that Golden Age books. I was trying to read. I think it was Submariner. It was Marvel Comics #4. I have a reprint, and I'm reading the stories, and it's a lot of reading. I'm like, I mean, it was just big word bubbles full of stuff. Yeah. And there was actually a postcode story EC book called Psychoanalysis. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Mm. On the front, it basically shows a lady on a couch. And the guy is, it's about psychoanalysis. I mean, it's not. I think I got it. If I could find it, let me dig real quick. Let me see if I can find it. It is hilarious. It is absolutely. And when you try to read it, it goes on. It is a whole book of stuff. There's nothing. It's someone retelling their childhood trauma or something, and I couldn't even finish it. I was like, "Oh, this is too much. I can't."
There's hardly room for the art inside the little panels because it's.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to do a quick search of my raw, but I don't know where the hell it is. But it's crazy. It's like, and there was an MD comic. I actually have a few of those MD 1 through 4. Two of them are pre-code, then they are post-code.
Yeah, Jacob said Star Spangled was Russ Heath. So
yeah.
And if Russ
Heath. Oh, was it not? It was not Kubert. Yeah, Russ Heath. Kubert was a lot of the Weird War at some. I mean, they mixed up. When I think of Kubert Bronze, I think of Tarzan and Enemy Ace.
And I think Russ Heath's the one that did that great cover. I like the Mystic, the Russian cover where the snow's coming down.
Is that Russ Heath?
I think so. You know what I'm talking about? The snow's coming down and they're pulling him out of the ground.
I have that book.
I thought you did.
Now I'm annoyed. I got to find that book because that is Mystic. A great book. It's very hard to find, and it is awesome.
Yep.
All right, I just saw a bunch of. Okay, I got to show you some of these. Here we go. Right up your alley here. All right, I'm glad I looked. So the one you're talking about, it may well be Russ Heath, and it is a great book. I thought I had it. Where the hell did it go? They're sticking together here. It sounds wrong, doesn't it? Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
This is a great, and if you read the story, it's basically this guy who's dead is this terrible commandant who's making people work to death. And he's about to die on his bed. And he's like, finally, I can relax and I don't have to like make people work. And then he dies and this guy's pulling him out. He's like, come on, we got to work. No rest for you, buddy.
Yeah, that's an awesome book. And Mystic, I like that one. And you ever seen the zombie one where he's coming out of the morgue drawer?
Yes.
Body's laying on top of him. Yeah.
Here's some since I'm on Dope Show, I got to show some pre-code horror. So let's show some right now. We got Black Cat.
That was some of the very first horror.
Yeah, these rats. This guy. There's a light bulb. Brush. It's just I
love the colors.
It's the Black Cat comics are great. Black Cat 50. That is an amazing book, and it should be expensive.
That's a hard book right there.
I think I showed this on Biggie's show when we were having
number 16.
Yep, this is a great cover. I mean, look, his just face is just underneath the water. It doesn't matter to him. He doesn't need to breathe.
Yeah, Tunnel of Love there. You already got one dead under there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a very hard book. That's the last book in that series.
You got.
Oh yeah.
This magazine is haunted.
Yep. I love a lot of those covers too.
And I like this one's a nuclear bomb cover. So there's like 2 nuclear bomb cover pre-code horrors, and I got both of them, not in particularly high grade, but they're
So I know you love your nuclear bomb covers, and you also like your Hitler covers. Which one you after more these days?
Hitler is the harder one. Nuclear bomb, you just be patient. You don't have to spend a lot. Hitler is hard to find and they're expensive. So the combination makes it much more
Do you do
difficult.
flamethrowers too, or is that
Oh
the
yes. Oh yes. Flamethrowers is I got a lot of crazy hard to get flamethrower covers. You ever see this
Yeah,
one?
that's
I love
awesome. I love Blue Bolt because a lot of the Blue Bolt's LB Cole.
Yep.
And I've seen that one a few times. I really like that one.
Yeah, this is I love this cover.
Yeah. Yep. Tomb of Terror's got some great covers.
Yeah, Tomb of Terror. Man.
Witch and Tales, they're about the same.
Oh, here's one I know you've showed a few times.
Oh,
so
that thing, when I bought it, I wanted it, but the more I've had it, the more I've loved it. So
yeah, it's there's some crazy hanging covers that they have on these too.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Closer you get to 55, the crazier the guys. Like they had to outdo themselves constantly.
Now, do you know why this is famous? Because it's not famous for the cover. I'm just going to tell you that much.
I do not know.
This is this story in here is about Belle Gunn, and she was a serial killer who was ruthless and lived in the Chicago area, and she probably killed. It was definitely known to kill at least 14 people. Belle Guinness, the widow of death. So the widow of death, and like it starts off, she's lighting her cat on fire, and she was already like a troubled child, and then she kills her first husband, and in the panel here, she kills the next dude. Look, she's cleaving his head in half here. Boom.
Look at that look on her face. She's like, normal day.
Yeah. And she killed like 14 people. They estimate maybe even 40 people. And so you can read through it. She's killing. She gets some lover guy who helps her get rid of the bodies. She kills him eventually. Then when she's about to get caught, she's in her house and she's about to get caught. And you can see her killing her kid, man. Dang. Shut up. Boom. She cleaves her little kid. Cat's watching.
If you're that other kid, you better just be quiet.
Yeah. And she's that, they think she died in the fire. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. It was in the she was living in the 1800 and turn of the century.
If that panel right there would have been the cover, that'd been worth a lot of money.
Yeah. So I didn't recognize Yaniv Strayflex that actually we were at the Baltimore Con. He's like, dude, it was like only $20 or something. He's like, this is actually a more important book. It should be way more. So I jumped on it. I wouldn't know what it was, but now I do. Now you do too. Yeah, Underworld True Crime Stories, Volume 1, Number 3. So if you see that, man, pretty crazy panels there with her putting a cleaver to her own kid.
What year do you think that was?
This is 1952 or 3. It's one of those pre-code stuff. And here's that other Etgren cover. I showed you the slab one I got recently, but this one I got a while back. Yeah, so he only did the cover. He was a homeless guy, I think, in Manhattan, and he had mental illness, but he did some crazy art, and so he did 3 covers. So I have 2 of them now. And then here's the biggest pre-code horror. This is post-code, but it's still horror. It's Superman shooting rainbows out of his fingers, man.
There's where it all started, right there.
His rainbow power.
That's where it started.
Yeah. No, I saw this. I was like, dude, I got to get this. It was pretty cheap. It's such his rainbow fingers power. I love that. Love that.
His son got hit with one of them rainbow rays.
Here was a high-grade Turok I saw too. So I was like, oh, I got to get that. 9.6. I don't usually get the gold key Turok. I like the first 30, which are Dell. The first 29 are Dell, and the 30th is a gold key. But if it's high grade, and that was a pretty good cover. And Andor's actually doing something besides being rescued.
I like the Golden Key Phantom books.
Here's a gold key one you might appreciate. Good old Boris Karloff, man.
I love Boris Karloff.
From the Del Rosa collection. It's actually a pedigree.
You see that?
There you go. Boris Karloff, man. Now, these I grabbed as a kid. Anytime I saw a Boris Karloff, I grabbed those. I love
Boris
them.
Karloff, Ripley's Believe It or Not, the
Yep.
ghost stories, all that stuff's great.
Yeah.
Dell and
Good
Goatee.
stuff. Good stuff. And take care, Jambo. Yeah. So that was just showing a few stuff, but yeah, it's you know, and the interesting thing about the pre-code horrors, they depicted stuff, but basically it was actually all good. The fact that it got outlawed when all the stories were pretty moral, and the bad guys usually got what was due to them. So it was sort of,
Well,
I don't know.
they talk bad about the pre-code horror, but it's really, the crime was a lot worse. You know, like you said, the suicide covers, the people shooting themselves in the head,
Right.
People decapitating people, putting it in a manhole.
Yeah.
What's the one where the guy sets his wife's head on fire on the stove?
Oh, that's a true crime. Like he's pushing her head on this. Yeah. That is so hard to get. That book is hard to get. So again, we're talking about books. That one is scarce and it's expensive at this point because it's so hard to get. There's
like a Beware where a guy's chased a woman with a cleaver and there's like 10 hanged bodies in the background, you know? So
yeah. But that's, but the covers were sensationalistic, meaning you could say, "Ooh, I want to get this because that somehow turns me on," or some crap. But the reality is the stories were very ethical, moral stories. They weren't promoting, it was usually some evil, greedy guy getting his comeuppance, man. So, it wasn't like that. But
well, we're at 56 minutes. I like to end them within an hour. You got one more book you want to show?
Sure. What, like a big book?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's end with a bang.
All right. I'm going to show two real quick.
All right.
And this is timely stuff, but these are big books. I'm going to show the first one. Let me take them out of their bags too. I've shown this one before. The other one I've never really shown before. So this is the first hero made by Stan Lee, Mystic Comics #6, The Destroyer.
Kind of the first Punisher, wasn't he?
Yeah, like the first Punisher. That's right. This is a very first hero created by Stan Lee. This is basically an interesting story on this book. The person who originally owned it, it was a blue label, like a 4. I can't remember the exact grade. He sent it in to get pressed and cleaned and regraded. But unbeknownst to him and the previous grader, there was a teeny coupon. I mean, not a big coupon, a teeny little coupon that was cut out. And it wasn't noticed because if you look at the page when it's closed, the coupon really blended in with the background of the comic, the page after it. So no one noticed. So the second time around, they actually noticed there was a missing coupon. So it came back incomplete, which did not please this guy who's a big collector. So he sold it. And then someone actually got it and married the coupon, found that teeny little coupon and married it to this book. So this book has a married coupon, a teeny little married coupon. So it's pretty ridiculous. And it's also cool because it shows Young Allies when which the original one was supposed to have Stalin in it too. So it's an ad for Young. Yeah, Red Skull, Hitler, Tojo, and Stalin's in it. But then Hitler invaded Russia, and Russia became our allies between that printing and this. And the actual printing of Young Allies. So they had to take Stalin off. But this is a great, Stan Lee, first time Stan Lee created a hero. Next one, so I'll be quick since we don't want to go over an hour. This is a big book. This is and by the way, that last one was Schoenberg and Kirby on doing the cover together. The only time they collaborated. So this is Captain America #3.
Awesome.
And this is first time Red Skull on the cover. This is a Schoenberg cover, and it is the first time Stan Lee had any work in a comic book. So it was a text story, but it was Stan Lee. His uncle got him the gig, and this is a 7.0. So this is a pedigree. So it's a high grade of this book.
I've always liked the Captain America banners up there.
Yeah, this is a great banner.
That's a cool sci-fi looking cover. I like the way they're going to shoot that girl like out of a cannon.
Double bondage. You got Bucky on a bomb, and you got the lady in there about to get shot off into space, and Captain America with the round shield. Not the first round shield, but this is the first true Red Skull, because in Captain America 1, it's Red Skull, but it ends up being some guy with a Red Skull hat or, mask, whereas this is actually Red Skull that we know. And it's pretty awesome. Cool.
That looks like a brand new book.
It's 7.0, so it's high grade, man. This is and it's the sorry, the Eldon. It's an Eldon pedigree. So
That's
this
awesome.
guy's name Eldon was on all his books. Right there, you can see it.
That's crazy. The yellow. I mean, it's like colors are popping.
Yeah. So got Stan Lee's first hero and Stan Lee first time in comics together. So that's pretty cool. I feel like that's a good way to end. Got to give
it
Stan
is, man.
Lee.
So, but I'm thankful to have you on here.
Oh man, I'm thankful that you asked me, man. It's always a pleasure.
I've been wanting you on here since day one. I mean, since I started the show, I asked you months ago, and you've been busy, so I had you on earlier.
I have a few people, so I better get on Collector's Geek Show soon. A comic collector, because he's gonna not talk to me soon if I don't. If he sees me on this show, but it's great. It's just I'd love to be on a show every day, man.
Yeah, I did his show last week, and I think it airs next Saturday night. So
yeah,
but he always tapes his stuff, so you never know when he's going to let it go.
That's right. That's right.
But all right, brother.
Thank you,
thanks
my
for
man.
coming on the show.
Thanks for chat too for coming, man.
See y'all guys. Thank you for coming out.